Everybody's favorite comedian, Kevin Hart, banged what was first reported to be a traveling stripper, but I guess she denies that she's a stripper. He banged her the last week in August. So far, so good for the diminutive superstar, except for a few thorny little issues. First, he's married, Derek. No good. Second, someone recorded the sexual encounter. And as if that wasn't bad enough, third, that person, or we don't know exactly who is doing it, maybe the person who recorded it, maybe somebody who got their hands on the tape, tried to extort at least $10 million, 8 figures, from Kevin Hart. He said the extorter said that they would leak the video to the public unless he paid them at least $10 million. Last weekend, Kevin made a very public and very embarrassing video apologizing to his family and to the public and his fans for his cheating ways, but said that he would not pay the extortionists and was going to the cops for help in tracking them down. Law enforcement has opened an investigation. They've attempted to obtain strip warrants. Boy, it's on my brain. Search warrants in order to get access to the people that they believe, and Kevin Hart believes are behind the extortion attempt. It looks like they know who this is now, or they think they know who this is, and so they've honed in on their suspects. They're getting search warrants. And, you only get away with this for so long, right? You're eventually going to get caught, especially when you try to set up a method for paying them money. Those things are traceable. So this week, we're going to talk about extortion. Everything you want to know, what it means and what kind of time the perpetrators might do. And we're going to look at the impact these events really will have on Kevin Hart's career, if any impact at all. Yep. I'm Jason Beckerman.
And I'm Derek Kaufman.
And this is Behind the Bar. So, Derek, let us know what we have so far.
Yeah, so last week, Kevin posted an Instagram video that started this whole thing running. So he posted this video where it's a confessional, and he says, I'm very sorry. I've made terrible errors in judgment. Someone put me in a very bad situation, apologized to his current wife, Aniko Parrish, and their kids. But he said, I will not let someone financially profit from my errors in judgment. That got everyone thinking, so all the reporters start digging then. And we come to learn that someone made an extortionate demand for up to 8 figures, that's 10 million plus, right, to not reveal a sexually provocative video. Apparently the video is 4 minutes and 47 seconds. There have been clips and sort of screen grabs that we've seen of Kevin, or someone who looks a lot like Kevin. We think it's Kevin because he posted the apology video, with a woman. He's holding onto her thigh. And then there's it cuts to a picture of a bed, but you don't see the two people on the bed, but you do hear creaking and slapping noises, somewhat like sexual activity.
And most importantly, I think, since this tape came out over the last few days, neither Kevin nor the woman involved have denied that they had sexual relations.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, she came out with her attorney, Lisa Bloom, on Wednesday morning and acknowledged there was a sexual encounter between her and Kevin Hart. Remember her name again?
Her name is, yes, it's Mantia Sabag.
Mantia. Her last name's tough to pronounce. So Mantia, through her counsel, admitted today that there was a sexual encounter with Kevin Hart, and he hasn't denied that.
That's right.
We've only seen screen grabs and the like, and a little bit, creaking beds, but. Right. Let's face it, and
there was some infidelity.
There was an infidelity here. He had sex with this woman. It seems like last week in August, some photos came out of the two of them canoodling in a club in the hours before the encounter happened. So sex happened between Kevin Hart and Monty.
That's right. But unlike a sort of Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian, where it's very produced and you see that everyone is aware that they're being recorded, the circumstances of this seem to be a stationary, maybe, phone that was left on and pointed in a particular direction. So when the participants in this tape move away from that, all you do is hear sounds. And
right.
that gives the indication that we don't have a consensual sex tape here. We have maybe a camera that was stationary and just set up, and they were unbeknownst to both of them, including Mantia, according to her.
According to Mantia. So
I'm not part of this.
The initial thought was that she was part of this. She obviously has a lot to gain, not just having sex with Kevin Hart, he's a big star, but also that she may have been behind the extortion. Right. And obviously she had access to the room, and you always wonder who has access to the location where they're having sex. Do we have any idea where this was filmed? Was it in his hotel room?
I think it was in a hotel room. It's definitely inside of a hotel room.
Right.
I'm not sure whose it is, but the extortion demands have some interesting clues. Because, look, Mantia saying I was no part of this seems a little hollow, right? I mean, it seems like the person in the video might be the one making the extortionate demand, but apparently these were from a very sophisticated source, because the emails that were sent to Kevin, he says, came from an encrypted source.
Right.
And I don't know Mantia, and she may not be a traveling stripper, but she doesn't strike me as the sophisticated, type of person who would send encrypted emails.
Right.
That's not the sense I got from her from the Lisa Bloom interview. Did you?
I don't want to jump onto your bandwagon.
I know. I feel like I've given enough.
What little you know, so I'm just going to let you have
I've
that.
got
Go
enough
ahead.
rope to hang myself.
But go on.
But so it seems like there's some sophisticated parties behind this who were out to shake Kevin Hart down.
Right. And the encrypted email is not something that every Tom, Dick, and Harry could do. So, you figure again, to your point, some sophistication behind these extortion attempts. But I think Montia, whether it's sophisticated or not, we just don't know if Montia is behind this. She says she wasn't, but of course she's going to say that. She says, like Kevin Hart, she's a victim of this in that she participated in a sexual act that she says, unbeknownst to her, was being recorded, and it has gone out and causing her embarrassment. That said, she had a lot to gain from this. She's now very famous, which she wasn't before, and she, had the extortion attempt been successful, she may have been able to get some of that revenue. We just don't know.
But it was not, as we've discussed, because Kevin Hart did not do a cash drop. He was unwilling to pay these exorbitant sums of money to make this go away, and he tried to get out in front of it, and that's created this whole spectacle, which is ongoing. The FBI is involved. Extortion is a very, very serious crime.
Yeah, before we get into the elements of the crime of extortion, which we'll talk about in just a second, Kevin Hart has tried to position himself very, very creatively as the victim in all of this, and he's in full crisis PR mode right now, right? And that actually is a term, a real term. There are people that put themselves out there as crisis PR managers, and these people are people that jump to the defense of celebrities in their worst times and try and make things better. And one of the classic tactics is to turn yourself into the victim, and he certainly is a victim of a crime. There's no question about it. But let's not try to diminish what Kevin Hart did here, right? I mean, not only is he, Kevin Hart lost his first wife because he cheated on her with the woman he is now married to, I believe. The woman he's now married to is about 7 months pregnant, I believe.
She's very far along. It's a very round belly.
He has been an outspoken advocate of fidelity in marriage. He has acknowledged his past mistakes in doing so, but has been an outspoken person talking about the importance of fidelity and that he is a faithful individual. That said, people make mistakes. We're certainly not here to judge him, but I think it does add a little bit of color to the reason he was so susceptible to an extortion demand. And also, his persona in the public, public persona, is of a great guy that everybody likes.
That's the key. It's the hypocrisy that is striking people so deeply. Because you look at a character like Leo DiCaprio, he's out with a bevy of women. He's got Victoria's Secret models throwing themselves at him. He's always on a yacht.
Never been married. Never wanted to get married. It seems. Yeah.
George Clooney spent nearly a lifetime as a bachelor, and then finally settled down. We haven't heard anything about him cavorting with other women once he settled down and had kids with. What's her name?
Amal.
Yeah. So that's what strikes people. It looks like he's cultivating an image. This reeks more of Tiger Woods to me than it does of people who sort of just embrace their bachelorhood for a period of time. It seems like he wants to further his movie career by having that squeaky clean image and then living this type of life. I take issue with it.
Right. So now getting to extortion. Extortion is a crime in all 50 states as well as almost every country. I would think that every country has some sort of law against extortion on the books. And basically the elements are the same, right? We're talking about making a threat against somebody else in exchange for money. That threat can be of physical harm. It can be of psychological harm. It can be of telling the police about a crime. Unless you pay me off, I will tell them that you're doing X, Y, and Z. Or, in the case of Kevin Hart, it can be to disclose an embarrassing fact about somebody, right?
That's right. Revealing a secret that would cause shame or ridicule to come upon you is an element of extortion as well. And that's what we have here, and that's what you most commonly have in celebrity cases of extortion.
It's irrelevant for a case of extortion whether or not what the person is, the thing that's going to be disclosed about them might be embarrassing or even unlawful. If you threaten to disclose something about somebody unless you get hush money, that's a crime. The crime is extortion.
Yeah, now we have to separate the crime of extortion from the crime of attempted extortion.
Right.
So what we have here is attempted extortion, because in the crime of extortion, to be a complete offense, you have to actually pay the cash, and the person has to receive the cash or the property of value that they're threatening to release the video for.
So, Derek, here we have the crime of both attempted extortion and you have someone who recorded in a sex act. And if we take her at her word, unknown to either party. Nevada's a one-party consent state, so only one party to a conversation must be aware of the recording. But here, it looks like neither party to the recording was aware that it was being recorded. It was surreptitiously recorded. So in that situation, what sort of jail time do the perpetrators of this act potentially face if they're caught?
Yeah, so the crime of attempted extortion is a very serious one, but it's what we call in California a wobbler. It could be charged as a misdemeanor or a felony. Here, I think we've got some very serious circumstances that weigh in favor of a felony. You've got an extortion demand that is of a huge amount, 8 figures, 10 million plus. You've got this surreptitious recording where it could be the circumstances that someone went into the room prior, set up the camera in a certain situation. Maybe there were drugs and alcohol involved. We don't know yet. Maybe they got both characters in an altered state. These could be aggravating circumstances that push you towards a felony. You could get up to 3 years in prison for that.
Yeah, it looks like there was an entire scheme that went behind this, both before and after, with the encryption of the email. It makes it look like a very sophisticated device, a very sophisticated criminal enterprise, and that really does counsel in favor of a felony charge here by the prosecutors. That would carry up to 3 years. We also have a crime of the surreptitious recording itself, and that can be a crime also charged as a felony. You can get additional years tacked on for that. So I do think that the perpetrators of this crime, if they're caught, face many, many years in prison. And you just have to wonder the ultimate question, of course, was she involved?
Yeah, so Jason, I mean, the big question here is, with the image that he's cultivated and the circumstances that we have here, does Kevin Hart's career survive this?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt that he could easily survive this. I mean, we have seen all he did was commit infidelity. Not to say that that's not something serious, but that's all that he's accused of doing. He didn't engage in any unlawful conduct that we know of. He simply perpetrated infidelity.
There's no more Hollywood sin than infidelity. If you couldn't survive that, we wouldn't have a lot of actors.
I mean, just think of the list, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger has survived infidelity. Hugh Grant famously survived infidelity, where he likewise had sex in sort of a very under lurid circumstances. We have Jude Law, Mario Lopez, Ethan Hawke, and of course Brad Pitt famously, and he's never acknowledged this, but the public perception is, and that's what we're talking about here, the public perception is that he cheated on America's sweetheart, Jennifer Aniston, with sort of an American villain or something. I don't know.
A Jezebel of some sort.
Angelina Jolie, and he is the most popular actor in the world, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. And that's not all that happened with Brad Pitt. I mean, Brad Pitt is still a hugely famous actor, and he survived allegations of child abuse, basically, with his adopted children.
Physical abuse, not sexual abuse.
Yeah, physical abuse. So if you can survive that, I think a little infidelity, although it is twice, and I think that Kevin Hart's career, while not in jeopardy, I wonder if he'll sort of lean into the bad boy image now and maybe abandon this sort of wholesome Family Guy stuff, because how many times can you have this occur and bounce back?
I don't know, Derek. If Woody Allen and Roman Polanski are getting cheered, standing ovations at the Oscars, it's hard for me to believe that Kevin Hart can't withstand a couple infidelities.
And since you said infidelity, Jason, I think it's time for mail time.
With Parker.
Parker?
I don't know what that means, but remember to write in your questions and comments to behindthebar@tmz.com. First one up is from Carter. Taylor Swift was sued this week over her lyrics in her popular song Shake It Off. I wanted to know your guys' opinion on how this will play out.
I've got a lot of thoughts on this, Jason. So Taylor Swift was sued by the writers of a song by 3LW. This was a band back in the early 2000s. They wrote a song called...
Play is Gonna Play?
Yes. They wrote a song called Play Is Gonna Play, and it had the lyrics in it. Players, they gonna play. Haters, they gonna hate. They're now suing Taylor Swift for Shake It Off because about 20% of that song is, and the player's gonna play, 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 and the hater's gonna hate, 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 hate.
I think you just needed to reference it. We're all familiar with it.
I just want to give you the gist, the essence.
We got the gist and the essence. Go.
So they're suing because they said, look, we came up with those lyrics, and where they came up with this was from a previous lawsuit. Taylor was sued by a guy who said, you stole my lyrics to Shake It Off, and in dismissing the lawsuit, the judge said, you didn't come up with Players Gonna Play and Haters Gonna Hate. That came from multiple sources, including a 3LW song, an Urban Dictionary, and some enterprising lawyers out there said, oh, so you're saying the correct plaintiff for this lawsuit would be 3LW and refiled it.
But that's not what the judge was saying at all, right?
Not at all.
The judge was saying this is just a common term used throughout the music industry and otherwise, and Taylor Swift did nothing wrong, but 3LW's attorney said, this seems like something we could take advantage of, and that's what's happening.
Yeah,
here.
Can you imagine a regime where you couldn't quote or it's preposterous because copyright is about the performance of these lyrics. Now, if she sampled the Players They Gonna Play from the 3LW song, they could have a copyright case. Right. That's an element of their song that's being used in a Taylor song. But just to sort of use similar lyrics, absolutely preposterous.
Now, there are limitations on this, right? You can't always trademark famous lyrics from songs. You know, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Sure, obla di, obla da.
Right. The Beatles could come forward and say that's a unique piece of art that we have invented. We're going to trademark that, so you can't go writing obla di, obla da on T-shirts. However, you could certainly do shake it off on a T-shirt, right?
Sure.
Because that is just a term of common parlance unless Taylor Swift goes and trademarks that term and actually registers it with the United States Patent and Trademark Office and starts using that term in commerce, not just in the song itself, but on T-shirts, mugs, and the like. Then she would have trademarked that. But 3LW, they don't assert that they've ever trademarked these terms.
I don't think they've asserted that they trademark it. They're going under a theory of copyright under the old song, which they say all the elements of that song are copyrightable, and therefore you taking the lyrics is actionable. I just don't think they have a good case here.
They really don't. No, it's a loser case.
Next one up is from Blaze. I've just started a few intro law classes as part of my college career. I've had a look at famous cases from throughout history and around the world. I was wondering what your favorite cases are from civil case law, not from the U.S.
Oh, you got to be kidding me with this. Not non-U.S. case. What's the really famous case? The original case that for tort liability
Paul's graph?
No. That was in the U.S. He wants a non-U.S.
Oh,
case.
he wants a foreign case?
He wants a foreign case. The one with the queen and the guy throws the guy off the boat in order to save the other two. We learned the first day of law school, right?
Yes. What is the name of that case? I don't recall it. Look it up, Jason.
I'm looking it up. Famous legal case, Queen, England, boat. I think that's going to do it. Dudley v. Stevens, Regina versus Dudley v. Stevens, 1884, is a leading English criminal case establishing the precedent through the common law world that, hold on, got to click down. It concerned, I'm reading from Wikipedia here, it concerned survival cannibalism following a shipwreck and its purported justification on the basis of the custom of the sea. It marked the culmination of a long history of attempts in the law in the face of public opinion sympathetic to castaways to outlaw the custom of cannibalism on the sea. And it became something of a cause celeb in Victoria, Britain. Not bad that I pulled that out.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Shabby. So that's my favorite case because I can't think of another one.
It's going to be mine as well. You said only civil, so I can't say Nuremberg trials, right? But that's a goodie.
I don't think you should bring up the Nuremberg trials no matter what.
So they outlawed cannibalism even if you have to survive?
Yeah, I only read the first paragraph of the Wikipedia page.
Don't test them on the whole.
Favorite case. All right, last one up is from Tabitha. Concerning another case, the Anthony Weiner sentencing is coming up, and prosecutors are asking for 27 months. I was wondering what you guys think he's going to get and why.
I found this fascinating. I think he's going to be sentenced at the upper end of that range. So I read these documents. He actually is on the hook for potentially 120 months, 10 years. And he cut a deal where he said, look, I accept responsibility, go lenient on me, but I think they're going to give him the full 27 months. And the reason I think so is because he is incorrigible. He has shown a propensity for recidivism. When he apologizes, he first denies, then he apologizes for these acts, and then he does them again.
Talk about the crime he's accused of committing here. It's not cheating on his wife.
No, this is not cheating on his wife. This was real sexting with a 15-year-old.
Right.
And the 15-year-old identified herself as a high school student early on in the conversation, and then he proceeded to ask her to disrobe, touch herself, with full knowledge that he was dealing with an underage person at that point.
Now, you mentioned recidivism, which is the act of doing the same crime over and over again. Are you suggesting that he has had other liaisons, texting or otherwise, with underage girls, or is this the first one, and the recidivism is just the engaging in sexting conversations, and he doesn't seem to be able to help himself?
That's a good point. I don't think he can help himself with the sexting conversation, so I think the age of the person obviously didn't deter him in this instance. I don't know of any previous with underage people, but I don't think he's shown that he can control himself in any manner with any age.
I totally agree with you. I think Anthony Weiner has showed himself to be a mentally disturbed individual. I think he's even acknowledged he's a mentally disturbed individual. He has thrown away his entire life, his political career, his marriage, his family, and now his freedom for an extended period of time because of his inability to stop sexting online. And the idea that he is going to be able to stop that going forward is counter to everything we know about criminals and recidivism, especially criminals who engage in sex crimes. There's a reason we have things like Megan's Law and Megan's List, because we recognize that people who engage in sex crimes involving underage people are the most likely to continue to commit those crimes afterwards. It is not a crime of money. It is not a crime of passion. It is a crime of addiction. And those kinds of crimes are the hardest ones to stop from committing in the future, I think.
All right, that is it for Mail Time.
All right, thanks very much, everybody. We will be back next week with another very exciting edition. Derek, you look excited.
I'm so excited. No more extortion.
No more extortion?
No extortion next week. We're going to do something fun next week.
If you don't give me those pictures back, I'm going to... I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more nerdy deep dives into the legal side of celebrity news, hit our subscribe button right here.
And check out our previous episodes over here.